Everybody, Madison here with Health by Ratio. My team and I of licensed physical therapists, functional movement coaches, functional health coaches, corrective exercise specialists, etc., all work together in an online format to coach our clients from recurring pains and injuries and getting their bodies back to moving in full ranges of stable motion to whatever their lifestyle preferences are, whatever, whether they're into sports or whether they're just trying to live active lives and keep up with the grandkids and everywhere in between. So today I wanted to jump into this video and talk about how to deal with and kind of understand and react to our spinal diagnoses. They can be really scary when we're hearing things like bulge discs or degenerative disc disease or compressions, spondylolisthesis, where we can't even pronounce it, arthritis, all this kind of stuff. When we hear these diagnoses about our spine, whether it's the lumbar, the cervical, the I just said cervical, thoracic, cervical, like wherever it is located in the body, like it's scary stuff. And often we might be questioning when we get these kinds of diagnoses on, is this the beginning of the end for me? Like, am I like, is this where my back is going to go and I need to take the foot off the gas now? I need to like start heavily investing in chiropractic care nonstop, or am I going to need to get a fusion or whatever? And in some cases, that depending on how far gone you are, yes, that's possible. You might need surgery, you might need some outside treatment, you might need some good rehab and all that kind of stuff. But does it mean our life halts? I'd say no. And the reason why I would say that is because of the hundreds and hundreds of clients that we've worked with. An incredibly large percentage of them have these diagnoses. And I would say, and you've probably heard this, if you've gotten this diagnosis before, most of our population, especially our adult population, has one of these issues in their spine, whether it's diagnosed or not. And why is that the case? Well, one, if you have recurring back pain, and especially chronic back pain, there's a reason why you're feeling that, right? And the chances are it's going to be because of one of these diagnoses. If you got imaging of your spine and there was nothing wrong with any of it, and you were feeling like you were having chronic back pain or neck pain or whatever it was, or recurring neck pain and back pain and all that kind of stuff, that would be kind of freaky. There's got to be a reason behind it, right? Like if I'm hurting, there's something's going on with my spine. Something's not moving right, something's not stabilizing right. So like whenever we see those diagnoses, we take them with a real grain of salt, because like, well, yeah, you told us that you had back pain, so that's kind of a no-brainer. There's got to be something going on with that spine. Or you told us that you had neck pain. There's got to be something going on with that neck. So we kind of take the imaging with a grain of salt. By the way, you can see Stella taking her nap. She had a busy weekend this weekend. Lots of driving, lots of hiking and that kind of stuff. So she's got to recoup. I'm envious of her taking her midday nap. Anyway, so we take these diagnoses with a grain of salt, because we have such a large percentage of our clients have these diagnoses given to them, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be in chronic pain or not able to move or not be able to play their sport or not be able to exercise the way they want to. It just means we need to figure out why. Why is that spine not stabilized the way that it should? What's going on with it? And 9 out of 10 times it has to do with how we're moving or our regular posture. If we're sitting in one position and it's always like this all day, every day, and we're always leaning to one side, or we're always slouched in this position, or we're always looking down at our phone or our screen or our laptop, if we're always playing a certain sport and we're rotating to one side over and over and over again, tennis, golf, pickleball, our throwing, any kind of throwing motion, whatever, like those single-sided rotations are going to pull on this torso at a certain way and create an imbalance. Maybe we have, when we walk, this is insanely common with our clients, is most of us have a few degree hip drop to one side and not the other, and that has to do that impacts the like kind of death by 1,000 cuts, 10,000 steps a day Plus, your hip dropping just a few degrees to one side pulls on that spine laterally over and over and over again, and can yank out those discs. Like our vertebrae, just like every bone in our body, is held in place by soft tissue. If we didn't have muscles, if we didn't have fascia, if we didn't have ligaments, if we didn't have tendons, if we didn't have the soft tissue keeping this like using was the scaffolding to keep up all these bones in place, if those didn't exist, we would just be a pile of bones on the ground with some skin around it and fluid like in this loose bag. The spine is held in place by our soft tissue, just like every bone is. And so if our pelvis is out of alignment because of how our quads and our hip flexors are firing in comparison to our glutes and our core stabilizers, if there's a discrepancy from the left to the right hand side, or we have a foot that tends to rotate one direction while the other foot tends to stay in a stable position, or we have one shoulder that's internally rotated significantly more than the other side, if we have these kind of imbalances that make an impact on how our muscle tissues are firing and how the soft tissues and connective tissues that support those guys are firing to stabilize us in the ways that we move, in the ways that we hold ourselves in our posture and that kind of stuff, well, then, yeah, our bones are going to get yanked out of alignment. So if we can retrain the soft tissue, if we can do mobility techniques, if we can mobilize the gunked up stuff, the stuff that's tight, the stuff that's sticky, the things that aren't allowing us to move fluidly, if we can release those tensions, maybe also incorporate some good stretching and that kind of stuff to increase some range of motion and all that good stuff, and then we can do corrective exercise to teach our body how to move in better ways, whether that's how to walk correctly or how to run correctly or how to squat or lunge and hip hinge, kneel and bend over to pick things up or sit down and stand up. Or obviously, if we're playing sports, we definitely want to be able to be stable in the ways that we jump and we run and we are picking things up and lifting and training and all that good stuff. Like we want to rebuild the way our body moves so that it's symmetrical, so that it's sound, so that it's moving in full ranges, stable motion. And then guess what? Our alignment is held intact. And all of a sudden, these issues that are scary spinal diagnoses that can be really freaky. Like you hear them and you're like, oh man, that's really serious. I don't want to be paralyzed. I don't want to necessarily have to have spinal surgery. That like if I can avoid that, I want to do so. Yeah, like all that's true. But if we can address the imbalances that are pulling that spine out of position and then stabilize, guess what? Now we're in a much better position. Now that spine is stable. Now we're not having these causing factors that are causing the degeneration or causing the bulge or causing the spine to compress further. And we have the scaffolding supporting this structure the way that it should. And that's how we can stop these recurring pains or stop the chronic pains. And we can support the body normally and allow ourselves to continue to progress in the ways that we want to around our fitness and our health. This is how our runners and how our CrossFit athletes, our weekend warriors, how our retirees that are playing with the dogs and the grandkids on a regular basis, like this is how they've been able to rebuild their body, is just by taking the diagnoses with a grain of salt. It is scary. We don't like hearing those things, but look, if we're in chronic pain, or certainly if we're having recurring pain in the area, there's got to be something causing it. So there's got to be something wrong with the spine. So even though it's a scary diagnosis, we can at least say, all right, that's okay. I should have expected that. There's a reason why my back hurts every morning. There's a reason why my neck is sore at the end of the day. There's a reason why I'm having these issues with my thoracic spine throughout my day. And we can kind of take a step back. We can breathe and create some space around it, and then say, okay, so now I understand that there's a diagnosis and there's a reason why I have this pain is showing up. There's some type of impact to my spine, whether lumbar, thoracic, or cervical. Now we got to understand the why it's happening. Why is that impact happening? We know where it is. We know what the diagnosis is, but why is it occurring? Is it how I sit? Is it how I walk? Is it how I'm exercising? Is it the sport that I'm doing? Is there imbalances going on in my body that have been causing this pull on my spine in a certain way that it isn't happy with me anymore? And then if I can figure that out, then I can correct it. Then I can have the right game plan with the right mobility techniques to do. And I can have the game plan with the right exercise to do to get myself back into a stable position so that I can keep this thing happy and allows me to not have to freak out about the arthritis that's in my L3, L4. Instead, I can allow my body to stabilize and support that L3, L4 and move properly and allow me to still live an abundant life for decades to come. So that's something that we see time and time again with our clients through Health by Ratio. And it's something that I think for those of us that don't understand the why, we just get the diagnosis. We just hear, yeah, your spine has XYZ diagnosis, and we don't know where the heck it came from. And we certainly don't know how to fix it other than maybe saying, all right, we got to cut you open, or, well, you're just going to be living with this arthritis and it's just going to get worse for the next number of decades. Like those things don't help us. So we want to try to figure out, where's it coming from? Can we correct that? Can we even reverse it in a lot of cases? And can we stabilize this body? So if you guys want some help with this, and we're happy to do so for free, my team and I offer 2 free consultation calls for everybody, whether you're in our program or not. And the first call is for us to get on the same page with what you're dealing with, what your body is going through, what your diagnoses are, or what your past injuries are, what your goals are, what kind of lifestyle and activities you want to do. And then we take that information, we do a follow-up call over video, and you and I connect over a video assessment where we go through a number of full body patterns and range of motion tests and postural analyses and see how and why your body is doing what it's doing, so that we can create a game plan on that call together that you can take and run with on your own, on what things you need to mobilize, what things you need to exercise, and how you can kind of build that in to a sustainable schedule that you can do from home. And guys, like, we'll attach a link to the bottom of our video so that you guys, if you want to, you're more than welcome to schedule a call. Or if you have some other questions on other topics, future posts that you want us to put out, we're always looking for suggestions. Feel free to type out your questions or comments or suggestions underneath this video. Shoot us an email back if you're on our newsletter. Write a post to us or a direct message on Facebook or Instagram, all the above. And we'd love to hear from you. Hope you guys had a great Memorial Day weekend and enjoyed the short week until the next weekend. And we'll talk to you guys soon.